Good morning. Happy Monday. So it is October 14th. So we now have Pluto direct at that 29 degrees of Capricorn. We now have Mercury in Scorpio. And we have the Sun in a square with Mars and a trine to Jupiter. So, and Venus is in an opposition to Uranus. So things are breaking down. And what hasn't been broken down will now be like kind of almost forcefully broken down. We have a full moon coming up on Thursday. That's kind of an intense one as well. So we're going to see throughout this week some stuff just continue to kind of break down almost forcefully, like being put in positions where you have to make some type of change. And we're going to see some of that start off today. The moon squaring Mars, the sun squaring Mars and trining Jupiter is kind of giving me this energy of there's conflict coming up from old conversations that were never resolved. Those conversations we've all had, friends or significant others or people we work with, where you try to talk to them about something and they blow you off, they change the subject, they tell you you're being too serious, they gaslight you, whatever. And the problem never gets resolved. So I kind of seeing those conversations are likely coming back up, and they could end in some type of conflict. This is particularly with relationships, friendships, your partnerships. Family dynamics could be playing a role in this as well. With Mercury now being in Scorpio, that Jupiter retrograde is having a conversation with Mercury, so it could be some intense. It could be digging up secrets. It could be just anything scorpionic. That's the dark stuff that people don't want to face. That having those real conversations are incredibly important, but you also might catch a lot of pushback on it if you're dealing with someone who doesn't want to have the real conversation. We also have that Venus in an opposition with Uranus. This can be some shakeups in your relationships or with finances. This is I am getting ultimatum energy from today of telling your partner or your friend or your significant other that they need to get their shit together or leave, or telling your boss that you need a raise or you're going to quit. Like that's the kind of energy I'm seeing today. And the moon is in Pisces, which is giving us that empathy and that compassion. It's also opening up the door for gaslighting and manipulation tactics and things like that. Also escapism, so make sure you're not trying to run away from what's happening. But it will conjunct Saturn today, so that is definitely going to give us the ability to lean on our intuition a little better, trust it better, make sure that we're leaning on our good, strong boundaries, emotional boundaries, spiritual boundaries, and things of that nature. And we're just continuing to work for what it is that we are needing for ourselves as individuals, and removing those around us or the situations around us, the places around us that are holding us back from being able to follow our own individual paths. Ooh, my ear is ringing. So cards of the day is, we've got King of Cups here as the energy. This is that moon conjunct Saturn in Pisces. There's the empathy, there is the compassion, there's the understanding, but there's also this I'm not going to be a doormat type of energy with it, okay? You can be understanding and compassionate and still tell somebody that you can't have them in your space anymore. So really, throughout the day, lean on that energy of having that strength, having those boundaries, but still being compassionate and understanding about it. What we're focusing on is the Knight of Swords. Having the conversations, even if they're ugly, even if they're hard, definitely make sure that you're not shying away from it. Today is not a day to avoid conflict. And that Sun in Libra really likes to try to avoid conflict as well. So just make sure that you're not trying to keep the peace when these things need to be said. They need to be brought out in the open and need to be talked about. So have the conversations even if they're hard. What we're avoiding is the Three of Pentacles. Remember that you don't need other people's opinions on what you're doing with your life. Especially like Three of Pentacles is like your coworkers or like people that you network with. These aren't even the people who your decisions are going to affect them, okay? So when we live in a world that is always celebrating people being passive and agreeable, chances are pretty good when you go ask other people, hey, what do you think of this? You're going to get a response of, oh, you should just be agreeable, just be passive, avoid the conflict, just do what you have to do, just keep your head down. This is not the energy to do that in. The change happens through conflict. That's all there is to it. If you're always avoiding conflict, things will always stay the same. And right now, with the way that we have a little over a month of Pluto at that 29 degrees of Capricorn and Saturn retrograde in Pisces, the universe is going to start taking over for us, and it's going to start creating change whether you like it or not. And it's best to kind of just take the bulls by the horn and go ahead and do it when it's confronting you in the first place, instead of the universe just ripping it out of your hands. Bottom of the deck, Ace of Pentacles. So there's this new beginning, and the underlying here, like there's something new that you want to do. There's a new course you want to take, a different way that you want to make money or create your own stability. Now let's pull some clarifiers for our King of Cups here. We've got Seven of Wands and the Emperor. So yeah, we are still like standing our ground. We've got that guard up. We're defending things. The Emperor is also, where I want to be, but now I've got to make sure I'm defending it so that I can keep it type of energy here. So maybe you've already made decisions on things and people are trying to talk you out of it. They're trying to drag you backwards or something. But you've got that guard up, but you can have the guard up and you can defend yourself. You can defend your peace and your space and what it is that you're building without being a complete dick about it, right? You can still be compassionate. You can be understanding of why maybe they're wanting to drag you backwards. Maybe to them it doesn't seem like it's backwards. Maybe to them it seems like you're screwing up. Who knows? But there's definitely a need to stay in the more understanding, compassionate side while also standing your ground and having good, strong boundaries during this time. Okay. Clarifiers for our Knight of Swords. We have the Lovers and Strength. Yeah. So these conversations that are coming up, remember the Lovers is actually the Gemini card. So this is actually, about communication and that one-on-one communication. Yeah, have the conversations. Make sure you're having the full conversation. You're listening to each other. You're actually hearing each other. And you're getting to the root of the problem. But make sure that you're not giving up your own boundaries to try to get there. Like if they're pushing back and they're not wanting to, be respectful of your boundaries, if you can't come to a compromise, then that's not someone who belongs in your space, right? So really make sure that you've got that strength, you've got that ability to hold your ground on your boundaries, and you're not giving too much in the conversation. But do your best to actually have it. Don't shy away from it, okay? Don't run from conflict when it has to be had, okay? Clarifiers for our Three of Pentacles. Why are we avoiding that? Six of Swords. Feeling like this Three of Pentacles people are probably the ones that have been keeping you in an agreeable state that's probably had you in a miserable state. One more, please. And Two of Cups. This could be very work related. Because Six of Swords is like moving on from like a chaotic situation, particularly one that keeps you in a mentally chaotic state, and going into the Two of Cups instead, maybe like a partnership of some kind. So this could very well have a lot to do with work and finances of, these coworkers are trying to, keep you in your little bubble that they want you in that keeps things comfortable for them and keeps things comfortable for everybody else. despite the fact that you are incredibly uncomfortable in this. It keeps you in a chaotic headspace, right? So we need to be leaving that and go into a space that's more emotionally fulfilling, maybe into a different job or a different relationship, different friendship that is actually more understanding and empathetic and doesn't want to see you sit there and be miserable just for the sake of making a paycheck, right? So really make sure you're not just leaning on the people that are around you if those people that are around you are not what's best for you. High Priestess on the bottom, we are definitely listening to our intuition with the moon in Pisces. We are listening to the messages that we're receiving. When we're listening in these conversations, make sure that you're also listening to your intuition as people are speaking to you. Your intuition will let you know if they're lying to you or gaslighting you or trying to fool you or manipulate you as well. So it's a day to do your best to keep your emotions nice and calm and steady. Speak up for yourself and just say what you need. And if people are not willing to hear that, they gotta go.